So this is a space where we can talk about the parenting stuff,
Mhm,
knowing
mhm,
that we are here for the purpose of raising healthy children,
mhm,
raising these souls we've been entrusted with
mm,
to really lead us and make the world better. And it starts here in our homes.
mhm.
What does that
Yeah,
bring up for you? What does that bring to mind? What are the things that are pressing on your heart?
I think the pattern that I feel I'm experiencing recently, my child is 12, and they are right in that preteen spot, and they can engage in conversations about what's happening in the world and like, in ways that I think are important and good. Always finding the balance of like how much is enough so that they know what's going on, that they understand what's affecting us when we're talking to them, that kind of thing, without going too far in terms of increasing anxiety, et cetera. So they can engage in that. They're less likely to engage in real conversations about what's happening socially unless
Mm,
something horrible has happened.
mm,
And so they're they're holding a lot of stuff from the seventh grade reality, and it often doesn't come out until like right as they're going to bed, and they say a little bit, but then they don't want to talk about it. And it's clear that it's really big. And this it's the kind of thing of like someone they thought they were best friends with isn't talking to them anymore, and that kind of things. There's how do I support that when they don't quite want to go there?
mhm.
And then I think in general, it's a developmental age that is just their when their daily life is about like 6, 7, I don't know how much like the memes that they just kind of it's just going through all this middle school stuff, and I'm just like rolling my eyes and like, please stop. That's really annoying. Like how to cut through some of the middle school nonsense, right? While acknowledging like you have fun with your friends and that stuff, but when we're together, we connect for real and don't just kind of quote memes. Right.
Mm.
And how to help them feel able to talk about things that feels very big emotionally, and yet they feel like they don't really want to talk about it.
So can I reflect back, but again, you tell me if I'm not getting it right exactly. Do I hear that there are that you're saying a couple of things. One is that are you asking, how do I just feel confident and sure that I am giving them what they need in this moment to be emotionally healthy? But is
Sure.
the other thing you're saying also, I want to experience this relationship positively.
Mm.
And here are a couple of things that I find sort of make me not feel real connected. Are you saying that second thing? That like part of it is the experience of the relationship that you're sort of unsure about? In
Mhm.
addition to the thing about like, how do I actually serve?
Yes. Yes. And so I think I both want to feel connected more than we feel able to find ourselves doing these days. And I know that they need to continue to feel connected in meaningful ways, but seem resistant to that at this point.
Do you think I could ask you just to tell me a little bit more about that last part? Like,
Mhm.
what makes you read it that way, that they need that for them, you see them as existing in attention, that, like, they need to really connect with you and talk with you, and also seem to be resisting it. What tells you both things?
I think they need to because I know how humans work. I just know that, like, especially they've always been a kid who feels big feelings. They have ADHD. Sometimes that kind of emotional stuff just gets really big, but they're just at an age where they're kind of shutting that down a little bit in terms of what they say, unless they feel directly threatened. And so the good news is they don't feel that in the home. They don't feel like, but that means just reflecting on what's been going on at school or reflecting on that is not where they go. I don't know if I just answered your question, but that's what it made me think about.
Yeah, 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 you did. You definitely answered it, and how lucky your child is to have a parent, and I assume parents, but maybe, I don't
Yes.
know, just
My husband
parents
and I both. Yes. Yeah.
who cares so much about their emotional life and development and want so badly to relate and connect. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say I'm an educator. My husband's a therapist. And I think we have a household where we process lots of things and talk through things, think through things. And again, I think part of it is just like they're at an age where that gets cringe and uncool and all that kind of stuff.
Huh.
But again, then right before they're going to sleep, they'll just say a little bit of something and I'll say, tell me more about that. And they're kind of just like, no. And so it's just that feeling of like, I know there's something there and something's holding you back from talking about it.
I'm going to go to maybe kind of a conceptual place, an abstract place for a minute. So, what do emotions do? They're not just the byproduct of experience. The reason we have emotions is that it's a highly evolved system over time. And emotions are the force, the energy that actually organize everything else: physiology, cognitive processes like attention. And the point of emotional information is to help us make sense of our
Hmm.
experiences in ways that help us respond,
Hmm.
right? And what is happening for children is that they are meaningfully in a period where they are still allowed to let all of that unfold,
Hmm.
that they don't necessarily have to name it and get control of it and kind of move past it, which is what society asks you to do that's so inhumane in the rest of your
Hmm.
adult life. Like, I can't be in a meeting and annoyed with my colleague and just be like, what is happening here? Why are you what? Right? Like,
Hmm.
I have to essentially override the emotional information that's helping me say something is wrong here and you need to
Hmm.
react. I have to override that to function. But the thing about childhood is that they are in a healthy
Hmm.
household, which yours is. They are free to let that emotional energy and the meaning making and the cognitive processes sort of just all be in play,
Hmm.
right? And then what you see happening as they make the transition to adolescence is that now they've had a lot of years of being exposed to the fact that one day they can't do that.
Hmm.
And they're already having experiences at school, especially, where that's becoming really clear to them that you don't just get to like be
Hmm.
constantly sort of feeling and making sense of things, which is very human. And we want you to do that. But also, unfortunately, society is going to ask you to just override that information because we don't really value emotions around here.
Hmm.
And so there's this transition point that you're detecting, that you're naming well, that there's a lot percolating
Hmm.
and that the child is trying to make sense of all of it and also trying to make sense of how much can I make sense of it? How much can I
Hmm.
react? How much am I supposed to just disconnect, right? All of that is happening
Hmm.
for them. So, what you might be observing is not necessarily something problematic happening, that there's this sort of like, I want to say a thing and then I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Hmm.
It may be that that is part of their unfolding process around what do I do with this emotional information,
Hmm.
right? And I would venture to say, given the household you're describing, that you have every reason to have faith that it's unfolding as it should,
Hmm.
that what you are doing that most matters is actually not any higher level or analysis of the situation. That we don't have to so actively actually be teaching children
Hmm.
how to feel, what to do with it. That what you're really doing that matters is that you're available,
Hmm.
that you're constantly saying, I really want to hear what you have to say. That even in your own anxiety, essentially, right? That's how it's feeling to you, that it's like they say something and then you're like, tell me more. And
Hmm.
they're like, no. But because you said, tell me more, right? Because you sort of
Hmm.
said in so many words, yeah, that sounds like a normal way to feel. And I want to hear about it. You're setting up an environment, right? You're tending the soil for
Hmm.
that flower to grow over time and to blossom as they're going to. And if you keep doing that, they are going to eventually give you more, open up more as they start to make sense of it. Because remember that talking out your experiences requires that you are seasoned in the experience of like making meaning in exactly that way.
Hmm.
But we
Hmm.
make meaning in all kinds of ways. And
Hmm.
so that is still in play for a child this age, is to learn how to make meaning in conversation and articulate all of it.
Hmm.
And so you're doing the thing by staying in relationship. That's the main thing. How does that hit you? Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
That's great.
Karen, I'm combating with the internet that's like 3 tips to make your child's.
Yes, I love it. So do we need something different or should we keep going? I meant,
I'm just curious how that hits you. Like, I just
yeah.
talked for a long time and I'm just curious, like, what are your thoughts? What are your responses to that? Does it
I
feel like enough? Does it feel like, "Oh, I just need to stay present? Cool."
Not exactly. It does feel reassuring. This is parenting is the long game, and not just this moment. And so, which I know, but in the moment it feels like, but what if I lose them? Or what if again, I can hear myself saying that and then start to say, like, all right, settle. Like, this is just what it is. I think having the kind of tilling the soil of, we are here for you. We want to talk about this. I appreciate especially the piece about even though we've encouraged and modeled talking through everything since they were little, that they are not experienced in it in the way, in terms of at this developmental level, and given all the different emotions that they're feeling now, as more independent and more, socially impacted and all the rest. So I think they don't have as much practice, and that's good to know. I think what it makes me think about, though, is the other part of that question is like, I definitely say, we want to know this, we want to talk, but I also spent a lot of time saying, please stop doing that. Please stop, in terms of just the middle school nonsense that keeps, they have to keep making this joke or saying these words that we've said that's not respectful. So there's a lot of the day is kind of this like, nope, don't stop, and then when there's a lull, which is rare, it's kind of like, what do you want to tell me in
Right.
ways that you didn't tell me when I picked you up at school? And
Mm,
um, so it's just, I guess, making sure that that opportunity is felt by them enough in combination with all of the corrections that we're giving, or the reminders of, we don't want to hear that kind of thing.
so let's talk about connection.
Mhm.
I really like how your thinking went there because that is the thing, right? Like if what we're doing as parents that is the most meaningful is letting our children know in big and small ways, I'm on team you,
Yes.
right? And I like you and I'm interested in you and I learn things from you.
Mhm.
And so I just want to hear your inner life as much as you are able to articulate it and share it and as much as you want to. I want that so badly. How do I keep signaling that?
Mm.
And something you're saying you think may be an obstacle is that there are so many opportunities where you may be saying, I like you, but
Mhm.
is that how it
Mhm.
feels?
A lot, yes, and it's very much about, well, I would say it's two things. One is just the reality of ADHD in a neurotypical parent home, right? Of just like, they're just the impulses that are constant, that we've had to figure out how to respond to in a way that hopefully doesn't send the message of you're bad, but just like, we don't want that, which is delicate. But then, so that's one piece, and then the other piece is it just feels like the meme and kind of middle school culture piece that comes into our home, that all the stuff that they think is hilarious with their friends, we keep saying, if you and your friends think that's hilarious, that's great, but we don't want that here. Right. And then we just shorten it to stop it. We've told you to stop that. So there's just a lot of that.
Okay. 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 So, a few things here. First, what I want to tell you about is something called the emotional bank account. Have you heard this theory or
Hmm.
term before? You probably have,
Hmm.
given your professional life and your husband's professional life. So, for everybody else out there listening, it's a term that a brilliant, wonderful man named John Gottman has coined. And that work is also based on other work like social capital theory. But the basic idea, the reason I like the term emotional bank account, it makes it really accessible for people, is that the way relationships work is that there's a ledger. And you have to be making positive investments into the relationship to weather the withdrawals. And withdrawals are a part of life. Just like with our finances, if I unexpectedly get a $300 medical bill, it hurts less. It impacts me less if I have $10,000 in the bank. I just pay it. But if I have $500 in the bank and I get an unexpected, planned for $300 medical bill, this disrupts my whole life.
Hmm.
The same thing is true in relationships. That one way you can think about this is maybe we're just going to not like the same things sometimes. And my child's going to kind of get on my nerves and I'm going to react to it. And probably I'm getting on their nerves. And that's going to create some strain. And if I can't change that, if I feel like right now that dynamic is just sort of what it is, where do I put my energy into making sure that our bank account is helpful? What are all the ways that I'm making sure I'm also saying the things you like are interesting to me? Tell me more. And I want to explore what it's like to be kind of inside of your world. And also, I think you're the coolest kid I ever met in my whole life.
Mhm.
How are you communicating those things? That's one place to go that I think can be very accessible for people if they feel like there's a dynamic that they just can't break right now and know that that matters. And even saying out loud, I know that dad and I, what does your child call you both?
I'm daddy and my husband is papa.
Papa. I know that Papa and I are sometimes telling you to stop doing things. And I'm sure that feels for you like, and then you put a word on it
Mhm.
irritating, annoying, maybe it makes you feel bad. I recognize that. And I think we're still going to bicker sometimes. But I just want you to know it's something I'm thinking about and it exists, right? It takes a little bit of the sort of like, it's you, you're a problem
Mhm.
feeling that a kid maybe will internalize. Takes a little bit of
Mhm.
that off to just say, "This is actually a shared problem, and I
Mhm.
know that," right? So that's another thing. Having said that, the big hard work to do here, when there's something your child is doing that you just feel like, "Not in this house, buddy."
Mhm.
And let me just say clearly, we're allowed to have standards.
Mhm.
Children need us to set expectations for them because that's how we communicate a set of values that we want them to take into the world. And when we're not there, we want them to exercise those values. That's a big part of our job.
Mhm.
So we should have expectations. We don't want to raise children in a way that says you are special and wonderful and literally everything you do. You should have no boundaries
Yeah.
around. That's not good, right? But what you might be wrestling with is whether or not the things that you limit are coming from a place of values
Mm.
versus sort of comfort,
Mm.
adult comfort,
Hmm.
right? And that's what I would really want you to examine. If it's from a place of adult comfort and it's not values driven, the answer is still not just let it go. Because as we said at the start of the conversation, this may be impacting your sort of positive sense and connection that in an authentic way. And we have to care about that. That
Mhm.
does matter. We are also human. And in order to really connect with our kid, we have to actually be authentically engaged.
Mhm.
It just changes how we frame it. Like, it's
Mhm.
okay, for example, if this is not a values driven thing, if you're kind of like, actually, this isn't a thing that I sort of care about in my core. It's not really connected to anything that I'm trying to teach them. It's literally just like it annoys me so much that I can't stay emotionally present.
Mhm.
If that's the case, then it becomes about really naming that, being transparent and saying,
Mhm.
listen, I get that for you, this is a way you're connecting with people, which is what it is out in the world. It's like
Mhm.
a shorthand, it's an inside joke.
Mhm.
It's also, by the way, I think this kind of group level echolalia, sort of everyone's overstimulated and we're all self soothing in ways that used to be kind of neurodivergent, but now we're just all repeating things to ourselves
Mm.
to calm our nervous
Interesting.
systems down. I think that's part of it. But also, I think the way kids are experiencing it is that they make each other laugh this way and it's
Mhm.
connecting.
Mhm.
And so it may be as simple or as straightforward as starting to say, I do get that this is, like, not broadly bad. Like, I get that other people think this is funny. What I'm really saying to you is that I don't think it's funny,
Mhm.
and it makes me feel annoyed or kind of shut down. And
Mhm.
I'm not telling you that what you're doing is wrong or bad. I'm telling you that in this relationship,
Mhm.
it's just making me feel a way, and I just want you to care about my feelings.
Hmm.
And not only is that okay, a lot of parents think, but I'm not supposed to make them responsible for my feelings. But listen, being responsible for a parent's feelings means that the parent is passively aggressively emoting, waiting
Mhm.
for care, and then making the child do that care. And then also, it's kind of a black hole that, like,
Mhm.
it actually never translates into the parent being healthier. That is making a child responsible for adult feelings. What this is just to say your feelings. If you are accurately naming the thing contributing to the feeling, what you're teaching the child is that everything is a relationship, including this one.
Mhm.
And to be healthy in relationships going forward, you do have to pay attention to how other people feel. You have impacts.
Mm,
They're positive and they're negative, and you have to be aware of how you impact people. And we have to do that. We have to do that at home. We have to
mhm,
say to them, "This is how I feel." Tell me what your reactions are to that. Is this values-driven behavior? Is it about comfort?
mhm. I think there are instances of both, so I appreciate just the clear delineation, both for my own thinking, but also just the importance of sharing this with our child, right? About we're telling you we don't want both of these things. When you do this, this is what feels disrespectful, and that's just not
Mm,
okay, right? When you do this, it's just, I don't find that funny. And this is part of just trying to be thoughtful about who you're saying what to and being thoughtful about other people's experiences and not just doing what you want wherever you go
yeah,
without thought about who
yeah,
else is here and how that might land with them.
yeah.
Yeah, that's helpful.
And then, by the way, I wanna be clear, the goal isn't then that the behavior goes away.
It's not.
It's not. The way this shifts things, this is important.
Mhm,
Maybe the behavior goes away, maybe it doesn't. But the way this shifts things is that now these experiences are not just like, I love everything about parenting, but I wish this would go
mhm,
away. Now, what this shifts into focus is that literally everything is a site for learning. It's an opportunity for
mhm,
learning. And so then you said it once, right? Like, this bothers me, and I want you to care about that.
mhm,
And so then the next time you get to say again, "Ugh, ugh," it makes me feel I
mhm,
don't like it, right? And then you get to say it again,
mhm,
and then over time, it becomes a way that you are engaging in teaching. Even in moments that feel like you're actually disconnected, you're not. You're
mhm,
connecting by sharing your feelings.
mhm,
And so it shifts the overall experience of the moment too.
hmm,
I would say a way this is coming up in my home that I'll share with you. I have a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. By the way, all 5 members of my household have ADHD,
oh, wow.
and we both understand each other and react to each other in
Mhm,
all the ways. We find different things troublesome,
yep,
right? And one of the things where I'm really resonating with this conversation right now that has come up for us is that my 14-year-old son just started high school, and we have a very just like your family, we're very close with each other. We talk about all the things. We love to be together. And that also means that maybe there aren't as many boundaries in some ways
hmm,
on what we say to each other and how we talk about stuff.
hmm,
And lately, my son has used language around me or told crass jokes around me
mhm,
that I've been like, ugh.
mhm,
And my husband has stepped in and said, "Don't talk like that around your mother."
hmm,
And at first I was like, "Your mother?" But like, isn't that just a really terrible joke? And why would he
mhm,
talk that way around anyone?
mhm,
And what I realized he was saying is time and place.
mhm,
Probably what's happening here is that that's the kind of banter that other teenage boys are engaging in. And if these aren't actually misogynistic
mhm,
or homophobic or
mhm,
harmful jokes, if they're
mhm,
literally just Beavis and Butthead style crassness,
mhm,
then that's a really good message for him to send that this will be funny to some people and not to others. And she is
mhm,
not a person who's going to find this funny. And so just don't do it. Care about that.
mhm.
Right. And it's had a big impact, I think. And I'm watching also how that then translates to noticing overall in his life, different relationships are going to be different.
Yeah, that resonates for me. Since our child was young, we taught them the phrase "read the room," and it took a very long time for them to really get what we were saying, and now they will say it to us. So, like, oh,
I love
interesting. That's not what I'm asking for, Dad. So I was like, okay, okay. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's important, and I think yeah, just culturally too, it's kind of a version of just code switching. Our child is also biracial, and just understanding kind of, and I think that they're pretty clear about some of that, but about what is okay in certain contexts with certain people and what is not. Yeah.
Mhm. And you're raising something I think really valuable too. I appreciate that you told me that your child's biracial. There is a sophistication that children who are from minoritized backgrounds and exist in dominant culture spaces, there's actually a social emotional sophistication
Hmm.
that these kids have because of all the exposure they get
mm,
to having to navigate and make meaning out of contradiction.
mhm,
It becomes unhealthy when their environments there's no place where contradiction is named and understood and not internalized, right? Like, this sort of complexity becomes a harm for minoritized children when they solely exist in spaces where, in order to make sense of communication differences, cultural differences, they have to say, "I must be wrong, I must be bad."
mm,
But when there is space where there are loving adults saying, "This is, like, to some degree, this is a real strength of yours that has developed over
mhm,
time,"
mhm,
what we see is that it supports greater empathy, really sort of, again, sophisticated is the word I like to use, sophisticated ways of being able to communicate and navigate. A lot of creativity emerges when it comes to solving problems that seem rigid to other people.
hmm,
And
hmm,
so all of this becomes a way that we help their brains engage in really complex processes
hmm,
better than if we just gave them the answer and told them to follow our lead.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I appreciate that. That just made me think about yesterday, they did initiate this conversation about there were kids kind of burning on each other in the I don't know where it was, cafeteria, wherever it was. And some kid was saying something about Elon and said, "At least I'm not adopted." Elon is adopted, our child. And as soon as I heard this, I kind of stopped in my tracks of just like, "Oh boy, this is." I didn't think this was coming right
Mhm.
now. And they were all proud and said, "Well, at least my parents chose me." And then I walked away, Dad. It's like- I was like, "Well, sounds like you handled that." And they seemed, again, I'm not sure what all the dynamics were in that space. It was, anyway, it just made me think about kind of how you navigate different identities and different spaces and how you can kind of um, find your way to have pride or confidence in who you are when it's under attack in some way.
So here's something else you just told me that you can really hang your hat on in those moments when you say, "I know my child is experiencing social harms
Hmm.
in the middle school environment, and I'm worried, I'm even frightened that if they don't open up to me about it, what will that mean for how they navigate it?"
Hmm.
I'm assuming, because I hear this from parents all the time, that's an underlying fear you have, is that
Hmm.
ultimately your urgency about them talking to you about it is that you wanna make sure they are able to navigate it.
Yes.
But what you just told me is that you have a child who, at least sometimes, thinks other people's bad behavior is their problem.
Hmm.
That's what he said to that kid, is
Hmm.
like, "That doesn't even I don't even what are you talking about?"
Hmm.
What a dumb thing that was for you to say. Immediately, like, you're the
Hmm.
problem, right? Something has already happened. The seeds have already been planted
Hmm.
that your child is making healthy sense of contradictions in the world around them and even other people's harmful behavior. And you've already invested in that. You're already doing it. The magic is there.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this was great. I appreciate this conversation. I would say that one other thing that was on my mind was in thinking about the investments in the emotional bank account
Yeah. Yeah.
and the feeling of connection is another developmental piece is they're just not interested in things that they used to be.
Yeah.
Totally normal. I get that. They used to draw comic books all the time. And anyway, just look really creative and we could engage in that and even work on some together. And that's no longer a thing. When we have time together, I'm like, what if we did this? What if we did this? What if we, and it's just kind of like, no, no, no. I just want to play my video game. I just want to relax at home, and so it feels like they have less and less interest and capacity to kind of try out things that might be something we could experience together that would be
Mm.
a connecting experience. So, I'm trying to get in where they want to see cool cars. So we'll go on a drive and go car spotting or whatever. But it's just like, I want to figure out how to support them to open up to some other ways that we could spend time that might actually be enjoyable for both of us.
Yes, good. Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because I bet this is a thing a lot of families feel a barrier around. Okay, I want to say a couple of things. One is that really small moments add up.
Mm,
So there is a lot of value to joining your child in something they're already doing
Mhm.
instead of trying to sort of create the space, right?
Mhm.
Even though a lot of times parents tell me, "But, like, what they're doing is playing a video game, do I don't what? Go play the video game." Even
Mhm.
if what I often say is I play the video game not very often because I really for me, I just don't enjoy it,
Mm.
and I even think there's something about my 45-year-old brain that, like, I can't even process the 3D-ness of it all. I don't know why, like, I drive the Mario Kart and I'm like, am I on the road?" For some reason, I can't perceive it. I don't know. So it's like it's not an experience for me, and yet I do it and kind of name
Mhm.
that, the silliness of like, I don't know, right?
Mhm.
But like
Mhm.
the small moments matter, listening to the music they like,
Mhm.
asking questions about it. Even if you say, like I'm saying about the video games, I'm curious about this, even if it's not for me, I want to know about it. So that
Mhm.
matters. Maybe it's asking questions about the video games, right? Like,
Mhm.
what do you like
Mhm.
about it and that sort of stuff. But the other thing I really am reacting to here is that I think sometimes I don't think this is actually true for you wholesale. So I want to say it in this way because I think you'll realize it's playing a role here. A lot of people are afraid to say to their children, "You're part of this family and you're actually responsible to us."
Mm. Mhm.
That the entire family doesn't just exist for your comfort and pleasure.
Amen.
And the reason we have to do that is, again, because if we're taking the long view, what kind of a person do we want them to be in relationships? Somebody who's
Mhm.
always on the receiving end and interprets giving as burdensome? No.
Mhm. Mhm.
Do you hope one day if they choose, they'll be a parent and a partner? I would assume yes.
Mhm.
Or at least a friend, at least a community member, right? Like
Mhm.
all those things. And so we have to teach them how to do that at home. And they have to hear you are responsible to build this family, that the family doesn't just exist, that we all play a role in
Mhm.
cultivating it.
Mhm.
And so I would really encourage you if you haven't, and I'm curious if you have, tell me, sit down together, the three of you, and say, it really matters that we have something that exists on the calendar, and we
Mhm.
can make it monthly, we can make it weekly, ideally weekly,
Mhm.
where all three of us look forward to it.
Mm.
All three of us feel like when we're doing it, it's for all of us. It can be, again, simple is valuable. It can be like, well, we do all love making a taco bar.
Mhm.
And so what we're going to do on Taco Tuesday is do it up a little bit more. Like,
Mhm.
how can we make it really special? What would it mean for all three of us to participate in it? And it's not just like one person makes it happen. That's just an
Mhm.
example.
Mhm.
Or your child might surprise you and say, I'm not always in the mood, but I do actually like going for bike rides or taking walks. And maybe
Mhm.
if it wasn't like 4:30 after school, I'm already kind of crabby. Maybe if we
Mhm.
just were a little more planful about it, that would help. I would be curious what happens if you open up this conversation and the framing is, we need this. What can we do to get
Mhm.
there?
Mhm. We have not framed it that way. I appreciate that. I think I've heard you say before, kind of like putting the problem in the center for us all to kind of work on together.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we need to do because I do feel like often it's kind of like, Daddy and Papa want to think of some other things to do. That would be fun for all of us, but it's us suggesting, knocking down those. What if we go to the video arcade? That's very much like what you're already doing at home, but I think that the idea of what's a weekly thing that we could do that we would all enjoy and like let's brainstorm a list of what those things are that
Yeah.
we could then draw from, and that could be generative in a different way than just what do you want to do right now when we're have some time together that ends up feeling like not that.
And
Yeah.
what we can do for kids, I want to really emphasize that is a thing that they're not doing yet explicitly, but we want them to do is to say, how do I make choices based on what actually matters to me,
Hmm.
not just how I think I feel in a given moment? So
Hmm.
part of the shift here, even though you're already saying we're trying to think of some things to do that we can all enjoy, I wonder what happens. I wonder if you say, let's start actually with the thing. The thing is that we want more time together.
Hmm.
And that's an important part of being in a family that you may not even know we're just kind of in the background trying to make happen. But to
Hmm.
be a family, we have to be effortfully. carving out
Mhm.
time
Mm.
to be together in just joyful ways or at least meaningful ways.
Mhm.
Now, I want you to be prepared that this creates space for your child to say back to you, well, the three of us going to the video arcade does actually accomplish that
Mhm.
because it's really fun. We can all play different games. We can meet up for a snack. We can talk. We have a memory we've made together. It
Mhm.
is different in that way than when they are sitting on the couch playing a one-player video game and you're just kind of like, right? And so you've got to be prepared that if you say, let's put the value first, you got to be a little agnostic about the solutions
Mhm.
or at least willing to experiment, right? At
Mhm.
least willing to say, yeah, okay, let's try it and see. But
Mhm.
let's make sure we stay open to like, this is experimentation. Because that also gives them the opening that you might say, I know you don't think you're going to like going to,
Mhm.
right? But I'm role modeling for you that we're not going
Yep.
to reject things out of pocket. We're going to be scientists. We're going to make a hypothesis. We're going to test it out. We're going to grab some ice cream after and, really discuss, did this work? Did this not work? What worked? What didn't? We're going to do
Mhm.
that. And I'm going to role model that for you.
Mhm. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Maybe you'll try out some of these things and maybe we could do this again. What do you think?
Sure. That sounds fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Let's do it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. 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 Thank you so much. That was